What's up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I have decided to try something a little different. As you all know, on the previous video that I did what if Deku, what if Ida had the Chaos Emeralds? And it was a pretty interesting concept. I just decided to shorten the story and get to the point, kind of like how I did in What If Momo had the Necronomicon. And this is a small series that I'm thinking about doing, and I might do a little bit more. So, while I'm thinking of other ideas, why don't you all throw me some suggestions down in the comments about who should get what ability from a different universe? As long as it's not Deku, I will think about it. Hope you all have a nice day, and I hope you all enjoy the video. One crisp evening, a young Denki Kaminari, just 10 years old, ambled along a solitary path when the heavens suddenly roared with fury. Dark, tumultuous clouds gathered overhead, their voices echoing with the sounds of crackling thunder. In a moment of terrifying and yet mesmerizing, a brilliant lightning cascaded from the skies, its radiance masked by a streak of lightning. Upon impact, the fall luminescence created a deep, echoey crater into the earth, releasing an explosion of sounds that reverberated through the golden hour. As the dust settled, Denki approached the newly formed chasm with a mixture of trepidation and wonder. There, in its heart, lays a mysterious hammer, its presence both formidable and yet divine. In an instant, an electrical surge leaped from the artifact and found its way into Denki's palm. Words of this enigmatic event spreaded swiftly, despite numerous attempts by men, women, and machine to claim the hammer that fell from heavens. No one was successful in claiming it. Not even the police, nor ProHero, nor any government assistance could move the hammer. However, a video that captured the moment before the hammers descended revealed Denki Kaminari and foretold that he was destined to wield the hammer. Eventually, they found him and urged him to try and pick up the hammer. Though frightened to touch the hammer at first, it all vanished when the hammer spoke to him through his mind. With newfound resolve, Denki seized the handle and rose the hammer over his head. And in that moment, a bolt of lightning enveloped both the hammer and Denki, unleashing extraordinary power. 8 years slipped by. Denki walks the streets, concealing his face and Mjolnir. He entered a dilapidated building, finding himself in a room filled with armed figures. "Greetings," Denki begun. "I trust that none of you intend to use those weapons for unlawful purposes, correct?" One of the men then fired at Denki, and he drops to the ground, only to spring back up instantly with incredible speed and hurled his hammer, tearing his shooter asunder. Looks like you all chose the hard way. Denki unleashes a torrent of lightning, eliminating the remaining terrorists. Some sought out coverage, firing at him, but their bullets, proven futile, bounced harmlessly off his form. When the skirmish had concluded, Denki spared one, seeking information. He demanded to know if there was more of them, and a map to pinpoint their location. When the man hesitated, Denki leveraged the hammer's immense weight to persuade him to cooperate. The subtle threat hung in the air, heavy with promise of irresistible force. In the confines of the Public Safety Commission's grim precinct, Denki slipped a meticulously marked map onto the metallic Stark desk. "There you go," he stated. His tone betrayed little emotions. "I'll be in my cell should you need me for anything else." A teaser response cuts through the stale air. "Hold on there, PSC 715-4. There's more. I require your assistance. With a new case, if I may add. A faction known as the League of Villains has emerged. I need you to infiltrate their ranks, gain the trust of their mastermind, and I need you to execute him. Denki approached the desk slowly, his eyes narrow as he digests the command. So, let me make this clear. I am to masquerade as a villain, enter their confines, even if that means shedding innocent blood. And then I am to get close to their leader and deliver the final fatal blow. That's exactly right, came the cold reply. In a sudden explosive gesture, Denki shattered the CEO's desk with one swing of his mighty hammer. When will it end? He bellowed, his voice raw with years of pent-up agony. It's been 8 years since you ripped me from my home, my town, my life. Were it not for the fact that you're holding my parents, I would... I refrain from even speaking the worst of it. A pregnant silence followed before a voice proposed a desperate compromise. How about a deal? It inquired. One final mission, and upon its success, you will be freed. Denki's gaze hardened as he questioned, You expect me to trust you that you will let me go? The numbers that you gave me practically screamed divine intervention. God himself. You're willing to release someone bearing that title? Indeed, the response came, laced with reluctant resolve. As much as it pains us to let you leave, there aren't others that are suitable for this role. I assure you, Denki Kaminari, if you obliterate the greatest threat to not just Japan, but the world, you and your family shall be unburdened by our curse. After a moment of contemplation, Denki extended his hand out. Fine, he says quietly, sealing his grim pact with a handshake that resonated with the weight of fate. In the heart of a dimly lit bar where shadows danced under the neon flickering lights, Denki Kaminari pushed open the heavy door, the familiar jingles of the bell above announcing his arrival. As he stepped inside, an unusual sight caught his eye. A figure, cloaked in a swirling purple smoke, loomed near the far end of the bar, an enigmatic presence that seemed to command the very air around him. How can I help you, sir? The man asked, his voice smooth as silk, but laced with an undercurrent of something unnameable. Denki straightened his posture, a spark of determination igniting within him. I want part of the League, he declared, his voice cutting through the ambient chatter that filled the room. The man of purple smoke rose an eyebrow, while a dancing smirk was on Denki's face. Sir, I think you must be misunderstanding what this place is. Denki replies while sipping water. When you tell people stuff like that, it makes them want to stay because they know they're in the right place. Before Denki could respond any further, the tranquility of the moment shattered like glass. A ruckus bar fight erupted, chairs toppled, the shouts filled the air, fists flew and bodies collapsed. Amidst the chaos, Denki felt the surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins, but he stood firm, rooted to the spot. As the brawl raged around him, he remembered an island of calm, observing the frenzy with a keen eye. In the end, when the dust settled and the chaos echoed fade, Denki found himself and the bartender being the only one standing, unscratched and resoluted, without aid of his hammer. A triumphant grin spreads across his face. Perhaps this was the moment he was meant for, a testament to his strength, not just as a wannabe hero, but a force to be reckoned with in a world that thrives on unpredictability. In that smoky bar, amidst the remnants of a wild night, Denki Kaminari's journey was just beginning. He walks down a long, narrow corridor, each step echoing softly until he arrives at a secluded chamber where a man known as Shigaraki resides. With a cool, knowing smile, Shigaraki greets him. "I've heard many things about you. They say you took down the ranks of my men at a bar loaded without so much as a tremor. Impressive." "Indeed," Denki retorted with a mixture of nonchalance and urgency. Yeah, listen up. Are you the mastermind of this whole thing?" "Not in the least," Shigaraki replied calmly. Undeterred, Denki pressed on. "Then where might I find him?" "That will occur when he chooses to grace you with his presence," Shigaraki answers enigmatically. Frustration boils over Denki, declares, "Forget it. I'm out of here." Shigaraki instinctively lunges at Denki, but Denki, unswayed, summons his might, brandishing Mjolnir, unleashing arcs of blinding electricity that surges around Shigaraki, compelling him to back out of fear. "Do not cross me," Denki warned him with fervor, "for I have vanquished many and witnessed horror beyond imagination. I am the very storm incarnate, a force akin to Fenrir's rage. I will remain by your side, for now, but you had better not disappoint." Time passes. Denki was tasked to execute the light of the pro-hero Bestgenus. A shiver traced its path down Denki's spine, but duty was a merciless mistress. "Okay," he muttered, the words shallow by shadows. "Where is he?" The hunt had commenced, a predator stalking its prey through the urban jungle. At last, he found him. With a single devastating blow of his mighty hammer, the thread of Bestgenus was severed. The question echoed through the silent air. Who's next? And so, for months, Denki became a phantom, an instrument of death wielded by unseen hands. Each strike was precise, each target marked by fate's design. The whispers of his deeds painted the grim murals across the hero's landscape, the testament to power unbonded. The weight of his actions settled upon him, a cloak woven from regret and resolve. One day, a chaos erupted in the heart of a city. A common man found himself witnessing the clash between two titans, a colossal figure wreaking havoc. Mount Lady met him in the fierce struggle. The battle swayed in her favor until a silent projectile pierced her heart, and she fell dead. The common man's gaze followed the unseen path of the weapon back to its source, and there, in the midst of the shadows, he saw him, Denki, the harbinger of death. In the dimly lit confines of an alleyway, a lone man dashes forward, his steps echoing against the cold walls, when suddenly he caught the sight of another man ambling along. "Denki, stop!" A command voice echoing through the silence. It startled Denki. Denki whirled around to meet the eyes of a familiar yet strained face. "Dad?" He ventured softly. "Son, why did you do that?" His father demanded, the weight of betrayal heavily in his tone. I had no choice. It was essential to my mission," Denki replied, with a mixture of duty and sorrow tinting his words. "What you did, son, that was murder. Where have you been? Your mother, she's been tormented with worry for 8 years, ever since you vanished without a trace." In that heart-wrenching moment, Denki disclosed the grim truth of the Public Safety Commission and the unholy pact, freedom in exchange for the dismemberment of All for One. "I'm sorry, Dad, but I must go," he murmured. "No, son, you must come home with me." Overwhelmed, Denki's eyes filled with tears as his father grasps his arm, his voice trembling with pain. "I can't." With that, he broke away, vanishing deeper into the darkness. Denki's breath hinged, each stride heavier than the last, until finally his legs betrayed him. He collapsed, a puppet severed from its strings. A maelstrom of regret, sorrow, kirked within. The ghost of its parents struggles as they fought to keep him, only for him to be taken away, replaying in his mind. Tears welled, each drop a tiny echo, his despair, as he whispers, "I just want to go home." A soft voice cuts through the misery, a gentle inquiry. "Are you okay, mister?" A small child materialized before him, a girl with long pale blue hair, her small body wrapped in medical bandages, swallowed by an oversized t-shirt. Don't worry about me. Are you okay?" Denki countered, concern eclipsing his pain. Then, a voice laced with sinister undertone echoes through the alleyway. "She's fine. Erie can be a little clumsy now and then." Overhaul steps into the light, his spiky brown hair casting shadows on his mask. Mjolnir thrummed in Denki's grasp, a primal warning against this man. Denki masked his unease and engaged in conversation. Each answer from Overhaul confirmed his suspicion. The child was not safe. The interrogation reversed when Overhaul asked, "Say, I gotta ask, are you a hero yourself?" Denki's eyes hardened. "No, I lost the right to call myself that 8 years ago." A smirk dances across his face. "How about I show you why?" In a swift, brutal motion, Mjolnir swung through the air. Eerie gasps as Denki shrouds her sight with his cloak. The fallen head and body of Overhaul hits the ground. He then scoops up Eerie and runs to the nearest police station. Soon after, he steadily walks down the street, Eerie holding his hand. "Will he find me again?" Erie's voice, small and trembling with fear. Denki's heart broke. "You won't have to worry about him ever again. He won't hurt you anymore." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "Listen, Eerie. Some people in life are deserving of mercy. But to those who seek to harm this nation's young, those type of people, they aren't deserving of it." Suddenly, a shiver, and Eerie crosses her arms in front of her. "Are you okay?" "I'm cold." "Oh, well, here, take this." Denki then takes off his cloak and wraps it around Eerie, keeping her warm. "Thank you." "You're welcome." At the entrance of the police station, he kneeled down, offering her a small and sad smile. "Please, take care, and keep your head up, and do me one more favor. Try to smile, okay?" "I'll try," she whispers, as a police officer gently took her hand, and Denki turned and walked away, leaving Eerie behind, hopefully to a bright future. Under the cloak of the night, Denki traversed the labyrinthine streets, his mind consumed by the impending confrontation. Bakugo, the explosive hero, was his quarry. The air crackled with anticipation as he scanned the vicinity. His gaze pierces the shadow. There he was, the object of his grim purpose, patrolling with a scowling edged upon his face. "Let's get this over with," Denki muttered, a sinister smile creeping across his lips. Hey there. You must be, King Explosion Murderer, right? Yeah, what's it to you, Cloak? Bakugo retorted, his eyes narrow with suspicion. Oh, where are my manners? Denki chuckled, and ever so slowly he extended his hand out. Hello, my name is... But before the introduction could be completed, Bakugo's instincts took over as he sees a glimmering light underneath Denki's cloak. He unleashes a torrent of explosions engulfing Denki in a maelstrom of fire and destruction. When the smoke cleared, Denki stood there unscratched, his cloak singed, but his resolve unyielded. We could have done this the easy way. He sighed, raising Mjolnir over his head. The heavens respond with a blinding flash as lightning courses through the enchanted hammer. The battle had begun, a clash of titans under the watchful eye of the city. Denki initiated the assault with a fury of melee attacks, his hammer a blur of motions. Bakugo, agile and cunning, evaded some strikes, while others found their mark. The battle raged on, a dance of destruction and resilience. Finally, Denki hurled a bolt of lightning, but Bakugo sidestepped his attack with ease. In retaliation, Bakugo unleashed a devastating explosion that sent Denki hurling through the air, disappearing from the view. Bakugo reveled in his perceived victory, but his triumph was shortly lived. A thunderous impact reverberated through his spine as Mjolnir crashed into his back, shattering his vertebrae. Paralyzed and helpless, Bakugo watched as Denki descended from the sky, landing next to him. I'm sorry, Denki whispered, his eyes filled with regret. It's nothing personal. And with a final, decisive blow, he plunges the hammer into Bakugo's skull, extinguishing the explosive hero's life. As the echoes of the impact faded, Denki's phone rang, piercing the silence. Hey, it's done, he reported. Good, Shigaraki responded. Oh, and by the way, the boss wants to meet with you. Denki re-entered the dimly lit bar, his eyes scanning the room. Where is he? He muttered, a nervous edge to his voice. Kurogiri, with a calm tone, cuts through the air. Calm down. You'll meet him soon. As if on cue, Shigaraki emerged from the shadows, his gaze intense. Turn on the TV, he commanded, his voice raspy. The screen flickered to life, revealing a grotesque figure. His face was a disfigured mess, a stark contrast to the jovial tone that filled the bar. Hello there, Kaminari. The figure boomed. My name is All For One. It's a pleasure to finally meet your gaze. Denki's eyes widened in shock. When I was told that I was going to meet you, I wasn't expecting this. All For One paused, his gaze hardened. In due time, but for now, I want to ask you a few questions. Like, what's the relationship between you and that powerful hammer of yours? How is it that you are able to wield it but no one else is? Denki's voice trembles as he recounts his experiences. I don't know. It just came to me, and from that day, I was reborn with this power. Perhaps I was chosen, but in return, a vigilant corporation took me from my home, my family. I miss them so. I wish I didn't have this hammer anymore. All For One leaned in forward, a predatorial glint into his non-existent eyes. I see. How about we make a deal? You take down All Might, and I will make sure that this Vigilant Corporation will no longer be a concern to you, and in return, I'll take that hammer off your hands. Do we have a deal? Denki hesitates for a moment, almost forgetting the purpose of his mission. Then he nodded, sealing his fate. Yes. All Might walked the streets. The sun was overhead, his thoughts on the Hammerman and his desperate desire to bring him in for justice. His thoughts were interrupted when lightning strikes the ground, and in the midst of its light was Denki and his iconic cloak concealing his identity and his mighty Mjolnir. No words were exchanged. Denki dashed in at All Might and strikes him with his hammer. All Might landed a few feet away. He then quickly retrieves to his feet and tries to deliver a Detroit smash, only for his fist to connect to Denki's mighty, unbreakable hammer. Lightning crackles from it, and it sends him flying. All Might tumbles around a few times, and in the process, it cracked a few of his ribs and crushed his organs, and he spits out a large quantity of blood. And just as Denki raises the hammer over his head, he says, "Nothing personal." He is then struck from the back and he is sent flying. He tumbles around a few times and then stops, and he looks up and sees Izuku Midoriya with One for All flaring throughout his body. "Oh, hey there. You must be, Deku, right? I've read a lot about you." A voice crackled through the air. "That's right, and as a hero I can't let you continue down this path." A surge of power courses through Deku, his eyes flashing with determination. "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm caught in something and I can't escape it. Not unless I do this." His opponent's voice was stern and desperate. "And I'm willing to do anything it takes to get out of it." The two figures clashed, their movements a blur of motions. Each impact sent tremors through their surroundings. As the intensity of their encounter escalated, they moved with incredible speeds, and the echoes of their struggles reverberated across Japan. The very air crackled with energy. Structures groaned under the strain of their battle, some buckling, others barely holding. Exhaustion began to set in, most notably from his adversary. Deku saw a chance of a critical moment to end this conflict. Gathering every ounce of his strength, he focuses his energy into a singular devastating strike. "One for all, 1,000,000%! He roared, launching himself forward, the blow landing squarely, and his opponent was sent hurling away, a streak against the skyline. He crashes through the urban landscape, a series of impacts marking his trajectory, finally coming to a rest at a distant beach, and a strange hammer landing near him. Before Denki knew it, Deku landed right in front of him just as he was trying to get his feet under him. "It's over," said Izuku. Huh, far from it exactly. Izuku, trying to show him empathy one more time, says, "Listen, if there are people making you do this, let me help you. Just come with me and tell me what you know." He extended his hand out, wanting him to take it and accept his help. Denki, with great struggle and a trembling hand, reaches towards him. And just when Deku thinks he's about to take his hand and accept his help, he says, "I'm sorry." And suddenly, with the impact of Mjolnir flying to Denki's hand, it crashes into Deku's hand, tearing his arm from his body. Deku falls to the ground, wallowing in agony from his missing arm. Denki towers over him with a sad expression on his face. "Truly, I am sorry. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I want to be free." Denki then swings his hammer down on Izuku's hand, engulfing it in electricity as he whispers something into his ear, and he leaves him. And then he finds All Might engulfing his hammer in electricity and placing it over his heart, stopping it once and for all. He then uses his hammer to fly off, and while gliding through the air, he gets a phone call from Shigaraki and says All for One would like to meet him in person. The stale scent of beer and regret clung in the air as Denki re-entered the bar. An unusual silence greeted him. The bartender vanished, the usual hum of conversation extinguished, but a voice, smooth and yet deceptively welcoming, sliced through the quiet. Over here. Denki's gaze landed on a figure seated in a shadowy corner of a booth. All for One, incarnated, sat casually beside the CEO of the Public Safety Commission Foundation. Hello there, Kaminari. It's nice to finally meet you in the flesh. All for One's tone was laced with familiarity that made Denki's skin crawl. He gestures towards another figure, a woman radiating cold authority. And here, we have the Madam President of the PSC, the woman who robbed you of your childhood and took you away from your parents. The weight of these revelations settled heavily in the room, thick and suffocating. Denki approached the table. The metallic thud of Mjolnir striking its wooden surface echoed through the stillness. All for One's eyes gleamed with unsettling anticipation. Mr. Kaminari, you have successfully defeated All Might, and as with that I applaud you. Truly I do. You are much more powerful than I could ever possibly imagine. He paused, his gaze intense. Now, before you lend that hammer to me, is there anything that you would like to say to the Madam President right here? A beat of silence hung in the air, heavily with unspoken words. Actually, Denki begun, his words low and rumble. There is. Denki looks to the woman and says, 8 years. You've trained me to use my powers with the combination of this hammer. You saw the potential in me and didn't want it to go to waste. You really believed in me. But when I turned 15, you taught me to hunt, to wound, to kill. You took an innocent boy away from his home, his parents, and the life he wanted to build for himself. He wanted to be a hero, but you turned him into an attack dog. You turned him into a monster. But she isn't so innocent either. All for One, I've heard stories about all the horrible things that you have done. You are the living embodiment of evil. And if I had to be honest, both of you are undeserving of death. But believe it or not, all that is about to change. A sudden knock at the door. Did somebody order it pizza? All Might's booming laughter shattered the tense silence as he, along with a number of remaining heroes, bursted through the wooden doorway. His signature smile plastered across his face. What? How are you alive? He boomed, disbelief edged into his features. Denki meets his gaze, a weariness lining his young face. I use my hammer, he explained, his voice resonating with newfound resolve, to heal you, All Might. But I left a spark, a tiny current in Izuku's hand, enough to defibrillate his heart. The scene dissolved into a flashback. Denki's hammer raised, poised to strike. But as the hammer fell, crushing Izuku's hand, he whispers into his ear, only you can start his heart again. The present snapped back into focus as All for One offered a slow, deliberate clap. Impressive, Kaminari. He rasped, his voice dripping with false admiration. Truly, I am impressed. He's not. But there's something that you didn't account for, boy. You're in one of my traps. The air shimmered, reality warped, as a dark portal yawned open behind Denki, a nightmarish gateway to the unknown, promising only pain and despair. From the swirling darkness, two grotesque hands emerge, reaching, grabbing. They lunge with unnatural speed, their target undeniable. Denki, paralyzed by the suddenness of the attack and the crushing weight of All for One's revelation, could only brace himself as the hands clamped onto his face, their touch promising a fate worse than oblivion. The mask shattered, revealing Shigaraki's twisted visage, just as spider webs of cracks spread across Denki's face. With a desperate lightning-influenced elbow, Denki flung him off. A blinding surge of lightning engulfed Shigaraki, reducing him to ash in an instant. Denki collapsed, his life replaying fragments of memories before his fading eyes. Chaos erupted as All for One seizes this opportunity. An explosion ripped through the building with savage force, sending debris and bodies flying. All for One, cloaked in dust and screams, made his escape. All Might, ever so vigilant, pursued him relentlessly. Amidst the wreckage, survivors found Denki, his face grotesquely fractured, his eyeballs bulging from their sockets. Frantic attempts to move him was proven futile. Then came the Thum, a sound that promised both hope and impossibility. Mjolnir, the legendary hammer, appeared as if summoned by the heavens, struggled towards Denki's outstretched hand. It stopped, just short. The panic started to arise, but then the Public Safety Commission president urged everyone to place Mjolnir into Denki's palm, ensuring his survival. Yet, no matter how hard they tried, they were unable to get it to move. In a final surge of desperation, Denki's parents arrived, and together they both managed to wedge the hammer into their son's palm. As Denki's fingers slowly started to close in on the hammer, Denki then springs back to life as lightning engulfs his body. The clash between All Might and All for One was cataclysmic. Their battle threatened to tear Japan asunder. Hope flickered when the public witnessed All Might's weakened form. Yet they clung on to their belief in his triumph. As All Might prepared a United States of Smash, All for One impaled him, poised from the final blow. Unexpectedly, Denki intervened, tackling All for One with the power of Mjolnir, launching them both skywards, soaring over the ocean. Denki declared, "You want the hammer? Then take it!" He slammed Mjolnir into All for One's chest, sending him plummeting into the depths of the ocean. The villain sank, unable to dislodge the hammer or even evade his fate, and drowned, ending his reign of terror. Adrift in the ocean expanse, Denki embraced his faith. "I did it," he thought, a smile glazing his lips. "I finally became a hero. I saved a life." Dreams really do come true when you have faith, patience, and self-belief. As he began to sink, a massive serpent propelled him back to the surface, guiding him towards Japan until a patrol boat rescued him. The serpent then vanished back into the deep. 9 years later, Denki sat in his cell reading a book in hand. Despite video evidence exonerating him, he had chosen conviction, seeking atonement. Sentenced to 10 years, he paradoxically found freedom in these walls. Visited by his parents, Eri, Deku, even All Might, filled him with joy, as they shared stories of the outside world and even Eri's upcoming UA entrance exams. One night, a familiar voice rose Denki. Through the barred window, Mjolnir floated, suspended in midair. Hey, a voice echoed. I only have 1 month left in here. When I get out, we'll take down real bad guys, but this time we'll spare them. And we'll save lives too. But for now, I need you to stay hidden. And this time, I'll come and find you. The hammer then vanishes into the night as we fade to black. And that is going to do it for the story of what if Denki found Mjolnir. I gotta say, this story was pretty interesting to make. Now, I will not lie to you all. I did have AI write this story for me in the author's tongue. I wrote it in my own hand, and then I used AI to rewrite these stories in the author's tongue. I really hope that you all enjoyed it. I'm probably never going to use AI again, because I did cheat. But who do you guys think should be mixed up with something else next? I don't know, maybe Jiro gets Echo's potential, or Yaoyorozu gets Iron Man armor. I don't know, the possibilities are endless. Give me any character with any sort of crossover, as long as it's not Deku. I'll give it a thought, okay? Hope you all have a nice day, and #blessed.